Howdy folks, Nathan here with the 2024 Honda Prologue. This is their first all-electric vehicle for the United States. And yes, it is based on a GM Ultium platform that is shared with the Chevrolet Blazer EV. In this video, I'm going to be driving this vehicle, and I can tell you right off the bat, the Blazer EV is a little bit more punk rock. This, it's a little bit more southern rock. First thing you guys need to know is that Honda stuck with their family image when it comes to the face, and to a lesser extent the rear end of this vehicle. In terms of design, they wanted it to look similar to their current vehicle, so the Pilot and the Passport and what have you, but at the same time to maintain its own very futuristic identity. Now this was designed in California, and this color is Pacific Blue. And I gotta say, it looks splendid. There are other colors out there that are actually quite nice as well. I'll give Honda a lot of credit on making something aesthetically pleasing in terms of colors. Now, something else you should know, this is the Elite model. This is what they've given everybody here who's driving one of these. The Elite is the very top of the line model, which also means it comes with these 21-inch wheels. Now, these wheels are actually specially developed to produce less drag. As such, it's better for this vehicle's long distance capability. And we will talk about those numbers a little bit later. Similar to the Blazer, the styling of the Prologue is what I consider to be really shapely, but not quite as curvaceous as the Blazer, and that's okay. But I love the way the rear of this is designed. The only thing that I'm a little off about is this here. This is plastic, it's no metal. This is just to make it look like it's a little off-roady. I really wish they wouldn't do that. I think that plenty of you guys out there feel that you don't need these plastic garnishes to tell people that it's off-roady when it's really not. I'm kidding, sorry. I really wish they would have some sort of sound with some of these electric vehicles, but this is essentially it, a silent start. But at least you do have a button that you can hit in order to start things. I like that. A lot of cars out there nowadays that are electric, you just get in there and maybe put your foot on the brake, and then you're ready to go because it detects you and it does that. I like having this. This actually makes me feel kind of good. Okay, now, that is an 11-inch screen. I do like the fact that you can go right into Google Maps. All of your telemetry still stays here and moves to the side. That is very nice stuff to have. And then music. Now, do you see... you got USB, podcasts, and all this other stuff. That's great. But do you see that thing that says Apple Car and Play? Guess what? That is actually rare amongst vehicles that have Ultium platforms, because General Motors, for some reason, no longer carries vehicles that can use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This one does it wirelessly. And it took me maybe 2 minutes for it to talk to my phone, and it works seamlessly. It's actually different tech that they're using in this car than they would in the Chevy Blazer EV. That might be the last time I mentioned it in this video. Probably one more time. This I particularly like. I love the fact that you feel this thing clicking through. And buttons, everywhere buttons. I love the buttons. There's no touch panel or anything else other than, of course, this screen, which is 11.3 inch screen, 11.3 inch screen. And this screen is fairly easy to use. It does have a volume control button. There's no tuner button, which would really nicely go down here, but it doesn't because they don't do it. But it's fairly easy to navigate and move your way through here and figure everything out. It's not exactly what I would call the best screen out there. There are bigger ones, there are smaller ones and everything else. I think it's right there in the middle. I do like the height of it though. It sits, I think, visually in a perfect spot because I'm easily able to see over the screen without having to have this encumber anything that I'm looking at out there. You have a choice. You see, a vehicle like this, you can have the flabby key fob. Regular, very simple key fob. Gee, I wonder if, yeah, it looks similar to General Motors. Stupid question. And then, of course, nowadays, getting very popular to have these cards. I am not a big fan of cards. That's because I lose them all the time. Okay, but with that being said, we are now in the car. It is on, and I'm going to drive, pull towards myself, down to drive. Now, I'm in sport mode. Sport mode button is actually at your left kneecap, all the way over here, and it's also where your lane departure system is, and also where auto hold is and your parking brake button. Don't know why they put it there. Should be over here. Okay, so anyway, I'm in sport mode, I'm in drive, and we're gonna tiptoe out to the road. Now, I've already done a bunch of highway driving, and I've been on this road for a little bit, so I have a pretty good idea of how this car handles. The suspension is not an adjustable suspension or anything like that. No fancy smanchy suspension. But Honda dialed it in, and they really did. Now I have it on pretty sensitive, like the maximum for regenerative braking, so I let my foot off and the car slows down very quickly. That helps out regenerative braking, but also if you get used to it, you have just the right amount, you can actually play with the paddles, or if you look up here, there's a button. See that right up there where it says Media 2 next to it? If I hit that, then I can change the amount of effort that's going into the regenerative braking. Right now, none. Then I hit that. One pedal driving normal. Hit it again. And yeah, so that's how it works. Pretty simple. You have to pull this twice to open the hood. If you get the front wheel drive version of this, you get 212 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque. And you may have noticed, that's the electric motor. That is, my friends, right there. And that motor being there means that you have no frunk, no front trunk. Now, this one, which is the Elite, which has all-wheel drive, puts out 288 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque. An all-wheel drive system, by the way, doesn't work like a conventional one because you have an electric motor basically working on the rear wheels, and then of course you have this one up here in the front. What you're looking at here is a very long wheelbase. It's 121.8 inches wheelbase. It's exactly the same, once again, as the Blazer, which has the same Ultium platform. In fact, they both share an 85 kilowatt hour battery, which is a whole different thing because that all plays into the car's performance. But this length, there's good news. It gives you a very nice drive on the road, which I'll explain as I'm driving, but it also gives you great legroom in the back seat. Back rear. All right, close the door. Nice place for my cell phone, right in there, kind of. Okay, a couple things you should know. First of all, I'm sitting behind myself and I'm 6'1", and if you look at the amount of space I have with my legs, it's really good. Now, Andre and Roman have longer legs, but they would still have plenty of legroom. And my feet, which are size 13s, and I'm wearing boots, they fit underneath the seat quite well. That's really important because I get stuck in a lot of cars. So that works out well. Headroom, not so much. Headroom in this vehicle is limited. Now I do have a tall torso. However, if I lean my head all the way back, I'm definitely hitting the top. Roman, when he's wearing his really expensive toupee, he would be rubbing against the top as well. USB-C ports down here. And then, look at that. You can plug in. This is the most important. Cup holders. What up? These seats do not recline, nor do they slide. And I think that's a missed opportunity because this whole area, considering the size of it, it'd be really nice to be able to move back and forth and all that. However, if you look at how the seats are actually designed and anchored in here, that's why it doesn't recline or do anything else. Steering, not a ton of feel. I was kind of hoping that it would build up a little bit more in terms of heft around the corners, but it's not too bad. Remember, this was not built to be a performance car. However, there is something that it does. Remember, we're talking 333 pounds of torque. For an electric vehicle, that's not a crazy number, but it is more than adequate. Okay, we're on this bridge, which is a nice straight surface, so we're pulling onto this bridge over here. All right, and I'm going just really slow, actually. Now I'm going to put my foot into it. Yeah, this thing has absolutely no problem lifting up its skirt and moving fast. Man, but it's not violent in the least. It's nowhere near as hard as it is in its General Motors brethren. Very smooth, very dialed in. That goes for the ride in general. It responds beautifully. Braking is not an issue at all. Brakes are incredible. And at the same time, this thing is easy to get into and to figure out and get your feel. And I think that that is one of the things that makes it very different than its cousin. I think it's really easy on the eyes too, but I know that's subjective, but driving it, it's a pussycat. I've got great news for you. For those of you who do not like the GM, their door for their charger port, it's on servos, little electric motors that go up and down. No bueno. Too many things that can go wrong. This one is manual, and that is a 150 kilowatt hour max charging output for DC fast charging. And that's the only battery you can get with this vehicle. Once again, people will call this a crossover SUV, and as such, cargo room, that's the important part. 25.2 cubic feet of cargo space back here behind the rear seats. And then in addition, there's extra storage down here. Actually pretty deep area too. And that is awesome. I guess you would have other things here, bolts and whatnot to pull you out of snowy things and some other stuff, but no spare tire. Sorry. If you fold these seats down, which are pretty easy to fold down, you push this thing here and ba-bang! It does not fold completely flat, by the way. 57.7 cubic feet of cargo space. You have to note, that is not best in class, it's not worse in class. And I believe, once again, the Blazer might have a little bit more cargo space. There are a few ranges for the Honda Prologue, even though there was only one 85 kilowatt hour battery. Maximum range with the front wheel drive EX, which is the base model, is 296 miles. That is the best available. If you go for all-wheel drive, that drops to 281 miles. Now, if you get the Prologue Touring, which is the mid-level, once again, front-wheel drive is 296 miles, and the EPA range for the all-wheel drive version is 281 miles. If you're driving the Honda Prologue Elite, like the ones that we're testing today, that maximum range, remember it's all-wheel drive standard, 273 miles. Can you guys hear that? Every time we shoot, there's always a lawnmower or a diesel truck or birds. You can really hear that, right? I gotta tell you, the sound isolation in this thing is pretty damn good. This is all rubber, so if you have rubber on your phone and this, there is so much traction here that if I slam on my brakes, most likely everything will fly off my head before this moves. It's super, super stiff. USB-Cs are right here. And, ta-da! Yep, that won't stay open. There it goes. You have a regular sized glove box. There's nothing special about the size of this. However, if you visually move your eyes down here, you'll find more cargo space down here and more nice tacky rubber. Another word I'm going to say, stitching, because you have a couple different colors of fabric used here. And then, of course, you have this raised stitching. We did an impromptu 0 to 60 test for the Honda Prologue, and this was with 2 human beings inside of it on a highway road, and that time was 7.23 seconds. So that's consistent. We did it more than once. Prices for the base model, entry-level, front-wheel drive Prologue EX start at $48,795. Now, if you want all-wheel drive, that's $3,000 more. Bear in mind, you're going to lose range, as I've mentioned before. Now, if you go up to the Touring, base price is $53,095. Once again, $3,000 if you want to get all-wheel drive. This one, the Elite, has a base price of $57,900. What do we all think? Is this just a rebranded Chevrolet model? Is this just a less athletic Blazer EV? Well, yeah, it is to a certain degree, but I gotta say, the driving character of this vehicle is far more sophisticated, way quieter on the road, and I think it is a more comfortable daily driver. It just simply is. With that being said, is it worth the money? Is it better than an Ioniq 5? I feel that the Ioniq 5 is sportier, certainly charges faster, and for me, For my type of driving, it fits me a little bit better. This is a little bit more of a family cruiser in terms of its comfort and squishy ride. Interesting trade-off. I will say this, considering what Honda's put together, I think it's really good looking. The colors are fantastic, and best of all, it drives like a car. Go figure, right? Stay tuned, because in the very near future, we're gonna get these up to high elevation, not that that'll make a difference with the battery, and we will put these through the paces through the Rocky Mountains. For the Fastlane Car and all of our other channels and EV, this is Nathan. I'll see you next time.